Good evening to you, snooker fans, and welcome to the latest episode of the 15 Red podcast with myself, Scott McCarthy in County Tyrone in Northern Ireland, and I'm joined for this latest episode by my co-host from London, Kelly Barker. Good evening, Kelly.
Good evening, Scott. How are you doing? I hope you enjoyed the Welsh last week, as always. Always a good tournament. And well done to Barry Hawkins, who gets his name on the trophy again after a little while.
2023 German Masters was Barry's last one, so quite an interregnum. That final was very memorable for how awful it was in that European Masters, if you remember.
I do remember, but wasn't he runner-up there to Kyron?
Oh, yes, sorry about that. I'm doing Barry at the service. I do apologise.
But anyway, it was good to see him back to winning ways last week, and he played so well in that final. And as always, I know Dave Hendon always mentions it, but Barry sort of goes under the radar all week, and then when you get to the latter stages, he's always still there or thereabouts. And he's suffered a few disappointments in the last couple of seasons, losing narrowly in a couple of big finals. But he deserved that on Sunday, and he really, really played well. And good to see him with another trophy.
Yeah, so here's this isn't a trivia question for this week, but I'll throw it at you anyway. Uh, what do each of the last two ranking champions have in common? So Zhao Kong and Barry Hawkins.
Oh, do you know what? The kind of personalities they are and whatever, I get the feeling they haven't got too much in common, to be honest, apart from being very fine snooker players. But I'm sure that's not what you're talking about.
Now, most recent titles were both their fifth ranking event.
Oh, well done, Scott. I don't think I'd have thought of that off the top of my head. But yeah, I think with Zingtong, I sort of associate him as such a winner now that you think he would have won more. And over the years, you might think that Barry's won a bit more than five, but at this stage of his career, he's still playing well. That's a very nice number, to be fair. And
Yeah.
he still could add to it. I mean, I'm certain Xing Tong will add to his haul over the
Yes.
next few years. But yeah, really good to see Barry back. And it really was a good weekend, Clandid No Scott. Lots of things happening. First thing to say is that the crowds were amazing from the word go, weren't they? From
Yeah.
10 o'clock on that first morning when the coverage started, it was absolutely packed.
Yeah.
This is the first year for a good while I've not been to this tournament, and I think I had a little bit of envy for the people who were there because
Yeah.
the crowds are great. It's a great place to go, especially when the sun comes out of it. You have a nice walk along the seafront in the morning before the snooker starts, and yeah, it's always a good one to go to. So hopefully, I'll be back there next year. But
Yeah.
someone else who did go to Llandudno but didn't have very long there was defending champion Mark Selby out on day one, losing
Yeah.
4-3 to Jiang Jun, despite
Mm.
2 centuries for the jester. Jiang won to watch this week. I remember seeing him earlier in the season when he played and beat Luca Brissell in one of the China qualifiers. I know, okay, it was when Luca was having a really tough time of it on the table, but I've got a feeling Jiang is going to be around to stay. And he can be a little bit methodical compared to some of the Chinese younger players, but I quite like him, and I think he's going to do well. So that was that. Mark was on his way home straight away. Also in round one, we had probably the standout performance of the week and maybe of the season for a best of seven match, Scott. Chang Bing-yu whitewashing Sean Murphy 4-0 with 4 centuries, two 130s, a 136 and a 119. Murphy could only stand up and applaud at the end. And he joked that he only potted one red in the whole match, but it was a mighty fine long red. But what a performance from Chang Bing-yu. That was something special. And yes, it was only best of 7, but to stand up and do that against one of the very best players in the world in front of a packed house, it's the moment of his career, really, so far.
Yes, definitely. I know we got to the Scottish Open final where he got rather badly hammered 9-2. But in terms of individual performances, it's to be one of the greatest individual performances of all time. Just to give you a few statistics on it, it's the only the third time that's been done in the best of 7 4 centuries. Mark Allen and Neil Robertson, the other ones. Campbell used the 9th different player to do it, and it's only the 11th time that 4 in a row has been done in any length of match. So it's kind of not unprecedented, but very rare.
Absolutely tremendous stuff. And, it just didn't miss. I didn't catch whether he did have 100% pot success rate at the end. He did. I did wonder, was there an odd ball he missed earlier on? But evidently not. He was sensational that day. And I think Sean said something quite apt in his interview after. He said, if that had been Judd or Ronnie who'd have done that, that would have made the front page almost, because it was so brilliant. But unfortunately for Chang, he didn't back that up in the next round, and he did lose to Wales's own Jackson Page in round 2. Only 4-3, but defeat nonetheless. But a memorable week for him.
Yeah.
And but it was nice to see Jackson doing quite well as well, because I enjoy watching him. But anyway, we move on to the quarterfinals, where we do our sort of roving report from. And the first of the quarterfinals, Scott, on a really good front. I really enjoy the format of the quarterfinals, having 3 of them sort of back to back on table 1. And the first one up Friday afternoon was Barry Hawkins beat Neil Robertson 5-3. And this was a funny old game. Barry led 3-1 at the interval with a high break of 28. Gave me hope. Gave me hope that it isn't all about the big breaks. Robbo fired back after the interval, though, with runs of 61 and 132 to level up, and he looks the favourite at this point. It was the Hawk who somehow won the last 2, though, to win 5-3, with his only break of note coming in the 8th frame, a run of 93. So Robertson did the scoring, and once he was back into it, he looks favourite, Scott. But the Hawk showed another side to his game, and on balance, he was first to 5. He got there, and he was through to the semi-final.
Yes, I don't think this will go down in the history books as the most aesthetically pleasing performance from a winner. But there's the rules to say you have to win with 5 centuries and 2 maximums and heaven knows what else. As long as you get to 5 first, in this case, you've won it. And that's all that matters.
Absolutely, and he did it. So well done to the Hawk. It was good to see him back in the business end. But we quickly moved on to the next quarter-final, and this was a bit more pleasing on the eye, I thought, as most matches are with Jack Lazowski. He beat Stuart Bingham 5-2, and this was tough to call before the start, I thought, but didn't turn out like that, as Lazowski, who was still in with a shout of the Bet Victor bonus, was quick out of the blocks with a 70 and a 118, and he was 4-0 up at the interval. Bingham rallied to 4-2 after the break, though, but Lazowski wasn't to be denied, as he won the 7th for a 5-2 win. That his play deserved, really, Scott. He was the best man in that match.
Yes, he was. Of course, we should give Stuart a mention because he did beat Zhao Tong, which brought his 11-match winning streak to a close. But fair play to Jack. I mean, Jack scoring heavily is like bread and butter to him, really. But he's just so pleasing. He's wonderful to watch, but at the same time, sort of immensely frustrating at other times. But wonderful one, and good to see him in the semi-final.
It absolutely was. I mean, I think the whole of the snooker universe was united in joy for him when he won in Northern Ireland, and he hasn't really done anything since then. But it's good to see him back this week and doing good. On to the evening semi-finals, and first up, I mean, you'd have been pleased with this result, Scott. John Higgins beat Zhao Yulong 5-0. He was a
Yeah,
little bit of a hard watch, I thought. 5-0 to John. Didn't really live up to expectations, though, as Zhao
yeah.
struggled, and John just picked up the pieces, really. He didn't make a 30 until the frame four, where he had a run of 75 and then a 67 in the fifth frame, giving the whitewash victory and a place in the last four. I didn't think there was much more to say on that, Scott, than he got the win, and you know, Zhao Yulong sadly just didn't really show up.
Rather like the performance that he had against Trump in the Players' Championship. It was 6-0, and he never really showed up in that one either. And sort of the same in the Players' Championship, because he didn't show up, John didn't really have, or the Welsh Open, I should say. But John didn't really have to show up because his opponent didn't. And again, I keep saying it, as long as you get the win, you're in the semi-finals. In John's case, for a 92nd time in a ranking event, it's extraordinary.
Well, I mean, we keep on about the class of 92, don't we? And one of them always seems to still be there in the business end of these tournaments. And this week it was John, and after he's running the players as Telford as well, he's having a bit of an Indian summer as we approach the business end of the tournament. So yeah, he's into the semis, and the final quarter final of the night. I didn't see this live, but I got up early the next morning and watched it on the replay. Wu Yiza beat Jiang Jun 5-4, and we mentioned Jiang earlier. He was having a really good run this week. This was another one, Scott, that was a bit of a funny game, a game of two halves. Wu started with an 80 to win the first, but wasn't really with it for the next few frames as Jiang took control with 3 half-centuries to lead 4-1. And a surprise was definitely on the cards. Jiang did slow a touch. He slowed down, as he isn't quick anyway, but he showed a bit of weakness to get over the line too. And Wu got his potting boots on with 3 quick-fire half-centuries of his own. To win 5-4 and book a semi-final against Barry Hawkins. It was a funny old game, this one, Scott. It was tough to know what to make of it because you were really thinking at 4-1 down, Wu was going to be a surprise loss, really, because I did expect him to beat Jiang in this round, but from at 4-1, it was almost like Jiang. I don't know that he would be scared of the winning line, but he certainly buckled a little bit as he got towards it. And then Wu grew stronger, potted very well, made 3 half-centuries. And boom, he was quickly into the semi-finals. So, but Wu Yiza, he's one of these much improved players this season, won his first tournament. And he just oozes class and confidence. So it was nice to see him win.
It was, yes. And he's one of my favourite players to watch. I think it's one of my favourites because Alan McManus recommended him. I rate Alan's opinions very highly. And Alan said a couple of years ago that Wu Yiza was definitely one to watch. And, the way he can streak those streams together, all right, the breaks weren't sort of massive, but they were enough to win. Again, you've got to learn to win ugly, I think. You've got to, no, it wasn't ugly in terms of the the standard. But I mean, you've got to learn to win from behind in the modern game. The players lower down the rankings these days are far better than they were, say, in Henry's day in the 90s. So you're not going to get away with beating everyone 4 or 5-0 with loads of centuries. You will have to buckle down now and again. And we did that, I think.
Absolutely. He said as well that maybe this one would have been one he lost a couple of years ago, but he's got the belief more now. And it just shows as well, doesn't it, that having a title under your belt and getting that first victory has proved to himself and everybody else now that he can do it. And Wu, although he won't go to Sheffield as one of the very favourites, I do think he's got half a chance this year in the big one, especially if he can get on one of them runs. I think he's certainly capable of almost being like a Luca Bracel a few years ago and just blasting everyone off the table, because that's almost all he knows and what he's best at. And I think I'd fancy a little each way flutter on Wu for the big one at Sheffield, I think. But
Yeah,
anyway, we move on to the semi-finals, and we really had two cracking games to look forward to. First up on the Saturday afternoon was Barry Hawkins against Wu Yeezer, and
yeah,
it was Barry who won 6-4. This was a very entertaining game, and the 6-4 win for the Hawk only told half the story, really. Barry was solid as ever. Wu was slightly off it, starting slowly as he did against Jiang. But when Barry led 4-1, though, he had a chance in the next and miscued. This let Wu in and gave him hope. And in the blink of an eye, breaks of 83, 74, and 1-2-2 quickly had him level at 4-all. A missed black in the next, though,
yeah,
from Wu turned the game again, and Barry took the next two to win 6-4 and
yeah,
reach his second Welsh Open final. After having a bad back earlier in the week and wondering
yeah,
whether he'd be able to play, this was
yeah.
Barry now into the final, and all the plaudits for him, Scott, because he really had to, back was against the wall at one point in this game, and he came through with, flying colours, really.
Unjust turns an entire match. How many times we've seen it down the year? If we the pops that black off the spot, he's in. Well, it might at least be 5-4, and then he might have a chance to get into the final. And you never know. But I mean, extraordinary that he must have off the spot. Yes, Barry must viewed at 4-1. He could have gone on and won 6-1 then, but fair play to Barry and great to see him because he's one of these players, Barry, that, Henry had said possibly in the past that he's too nice of a human being to be a serial winner, but without being disrespectful to the seven times world champion, we don't have to all be serial winners.
Well, that is true. Although I must say, Scott, just going off the subject for a minute, I was playing snooker last Saturday against Chris, and I think I play better when I'm a little bit angry, and I think and on Saturday I really had to change my mindset, and I thought to myself, right, treat Chris like he's the enemy. If I need to snooker him behind a ball colour, do it. That's gonna get me through. And do you know what? It worked. I played all right for a few frames when I was angry and annoyed, and I thought, no, I don't like you for these few hours. You're the enemy, and I'm gonna get the better of you. I did lose. I did lose. What was it? I think we had a long cold game. I lost 6-5, but just, yes, so we did best of 11 as well. But yes, it just shows. I think there is something in it, what Stephen Hendry says. You can't be too nice. And I think Peter Ebden had said the same to Sean Murphy, didn't he, when he's
Yeah,
started coaching him? You can't be too nice. These people, you've got to go on the table, and they're your enemy. You've got to, have a bit of steel about you. And, you can all be all be mates again after the game's finished. But whilst you're on the table, I think Henry's right. You've got to have a bit of steel and not be too nice. But Barry is a very nice guy, and it was good to see him back into a final again. Although I probably was slightly hoping for Wu because I really like him.
Yeah. Yeah. What Stephen said may be true, but all I'm saying is we don't have to all win 7 world titles for our career to be good. Now, Barry, in his own terms, is perfectly satisfied with what he's done in the game. Now, he would like to do more, of course, but he's not going to beat himself up. Barry doesn't strike you as that sort of person. That's all I'm saying.
No, I think Barry is a naturally lovely guy and laid back and more relaxed than Stephen ever was in his pomp. As a most dedicated Henry fan, I can see that Barry is probably a nicer guy than Stephen was at his peak. So sorry, Stephen, if you're listening, but yeah, I do see that Barry is one of the nicest guys on the circuit, and you could never ever begrudge him a win. But
No,
anyway,
no.
so that was him into the final, and we move on to the second semi-final. Now, this was a bit of a classic, Scott.
Yeah.
Jack Lasowski beating John Higgins 6-5, and this match had absolutely everything. Good breaks, it was entertaining, and a deciding frame which saw Jack make the most mesmerising 78 to win it. That had so many shots that were just jaw-dropping, Scott.
Yeah.
Several times I was worried he was taking on one shot too many, but they just kept going in. And pure Lasowski's style to set up that final with Barry Hawkins, and also claimed the Bet Victor bonus that night, just for reaching the final, because he's now done the best across the 4 events. So Jack was on cloud 9. He won the 150 grand bonus, and he was presented with the trophy that night, which I know that's divided opinion on whether it was the right thing to do, because I think Jack was on such a high after it. And as we'll talk about the final, he was a bit flat the next day, but after making that break, you would be on a high, wouldn't you? Whether it was worth an extra 150 grand or not. But with so much pressure on the line when the place in the final, surely that was the best break of Jack's career.
It certainly was in my book. I was getting vibes of 44 years ago. A certain 69 break from a fellow countryman of mine came to mind as I was watching it now. And Abigail Davis, when she interviewed him after presenting the Bet Victor bonus to him, did describe it as Alex Higgins-esque, and it really was. Now, far be it from me to provoke rivals, but Abigail Davis has been on the Snooker Club WST podcast with Henry Holworth and Mark Watson. And she made the point that there was a discussion in the back room, if you like. And the reason it was decided was that it would look a bit odd if you were presenting Barry with the trophy, but then Jack was giving more money for the Bet Victor bonus than Barry got for winning the tournament. So that was the logic behind it. So whether people agree with that or not.
I do get it, and I don't know whether there's a right or wrong answer in it. But the scenes on Saturday night, it was just so joyous to see, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And to see Jack with that kind of smile on his face and loving every moment. I was so pleased for him. I mean, it was only a cash bonus, not winning the title. But I remember, a similar thing happened almost at the 92 World Championship when Henry won the tournament. But because Jimmy had made the 147 in the tournament, earlier in the tournament, he actually walked away with more money than Stephen. There was no sort of extra trophy for doing it, but it was a slight anomaly that year that Jimmy actually walked away with more money than Henry from it. But I'm sure 7 days of the week, every day and twice on Sunday, Stephen would have been happier to walk away with the trophy. But so that brought us up to the final, Scott. Barry Hawkins against Jack Lazowski. This was very eagerly looked forward to. But the afternoon, maybe Jack was still on a high from that prize giving the night before, and he was a bit flat in the afternoon. Couldn't hardly get anything going. Barry was very solid, as he always is, and he finished the session 7-1 up. It was over, really.
It was. There's nothing really to say that. I mean, just to describe to you, going back to what Abigail said on Snooker Club, to describe to you what sort of fight Jack was in, and I apologise for any viewers to it from the Republic of Ireland, but he did say, "Can I do the post-match interview or the interview after with Abigail in an Irish accent?" Because he was on such a high. So yes, and Abigail actually said, "I don't," to herself, "I don't think he can win because he's on such a high, and there was no way that he could come down in time." And he actually said afterwards, "I didn't sleep very well, and I'm not very good if I don't sleep." So it's understandable, but yes, he was flat. But take nothing away from Barry, he played very solidly in the afternoon. And to be fair to Jack, he played very well at night, although it was too late.
It was too late, but it was very good to watch him get back in it at night and give us a few frames. Inevitably, Barry won and won well. But yeah, great tournament for both in their own way. Jack would have been absolutely delighted to make another final. Disappointment in the end that he lost. But another final. He can build on this now. I think he's still got a chance of making the Tour Championship. If he does. I think he'll have to go a bit in the World Open, but he could get into it. He's walked away with that bonus, so I'm sure he can treat himself to something nice if he so wishes. And for Barry, as we've said, well done him on another title because, as we say, he is one of the game's nice guys, and another different winner this season. They keep coming. And we've got a couple of weeks off now, Scott, from the professional circuit. What are we going to do with ourselves? Well, I've got an idea. I'm going to play in a tournament myself this weekend, which I've had an email. The Women's English Championship is at Leeds Northern Snooker Centre this weekend, which I'm taking part in. It's my first time, and I've been practicing as much as possible, playing whenever I can. I'm absolutely loving it at the moment, Scott, and can't wait to get my cue out against some of the top lady players. I know Tessa Davidson's in it, and Rebecca Kenner. So I don't hold out much hope, I must be honest, if I come up against one of them. But I think it's going to be a lovely experience. And if the pros don't have a tournament on each week, then I've got to go out and play in my own one. So just looking forward to the experience, and I'm sure I'll report back of how it goes.
So I'll make sure of that, all right. But good enough, friend. I'm sure you'll do as well as you can. You'll give it your best shot. And I'm sure I speak for the viewers when I say we're all looking forward to hearing how you get on.
Oh, thank you. I'm looking forward to it as the week's going on. I'm getting quite excited about it now, although I'm sure by Friday I'll be a bit nervous when I travel up there. But I'm having a little practice on Friday night against one of the other women competitors, so that'll be nice. And just to set foot in the Northern Snooker Centre as well, because it's one of the renowned snooker clubs in this country. So looking forward to it really. What have I got to lose? It's going to be a nice weekend playing snooker, what I love. So let's get the girls on the bays.
Indeed, a nice bit of improvisation from you there, I have to say. Just before we go, just a couple of things to say. First of all, I'll give the answer to the Welsh trivia question that I gave you last week. In what year did Mark Williams win his first ranking title? 1996. Of course, it was the Welsh Open. And of course, he beat John Carrot 9-3 in that final. And his highest break in the whole tournament was 74 against Doherty in the quarter-final. So, and Willie Thorne said he'll not win very much, but he was proven wrong on that particular prediction. And we should say, of course, that it's both his birthday and it's JB's birthday today. They would have been, I think, 72 and 80 respectively. So they'll be raising a glass up in the pearly gates, as it were.
Yes, I hope they're up there just reminiscing on their great times in snooker. And
Yeah,
funnily enough, on the WST play the other night, I put some snooker on and up popped John Virgo commentating, and I thought, oh yes, I'll stick with this match because apart from wanting to watch the match, I thought I really want to hear JV talking. So, in
yeah,
fact, it was John Virgo and Willie Thorne in the commentary, so that
yeah,
was lovely to hear. I think sometimes these guys aren't always appreciated until they're gone, but
yeah.
I think these legends absolutely were.
Well,
But just one more thing quickly before we go.
yes,
Just to say that Ashley Hugill won the final Q Tour event last weekend at Landy Wood. He won Q Tour 7.
yeah,
So he's safely and secure into the 16 now that go to Spain soon to play the Q Tour playoffs. And Jamie Clark did enough in this tournament to finish top of the Order of Merit.
yeah,
So he regains a 2 year tour card, and very well done to him because
yeah,
he's such a good player, and I think it's only right that he gets another 2 year go on the tour, and he took a year off, opened his own academy, and he's played really well this season. So yeah, it's good to see him back, Scott.
very much so. Jimmy Clark, player I sort of first noticed when he didn't he beat Mark Allen at Sheffield one year.
He did. Mark played very well in the scoring department, if I remember right.
Yeah,
Um,
5 centuries
so
Mark has.
yes,
So,
but yeah, I remember that game pretty well. It was a good game. So yeah, Jamie Clark's always had a good game in the tank and relaxed more now, he says, and hopefully, yeah, we'll see him do quite well next season. So we'll look forward to seeing him back.
yes, and so I think more or less concludes the business for today. Good luck on Friday and Saturday once again, Kelly, and hopefully you'll still be there on the Sunday. That will will
Well, I'm told that they're for the people who don't qualify from the group stage, there'll actually be a little bit of a side tournament for those players if they still want to play some snooker. So if I don't get out of the group stage, I'll probably play in that and just make a nice weekend of it, really. But
yeah,
if I had a little bit of an ambition, I'd love to get out of the groups. But I do feel my game isn't quite good enough yet, but I don't really know how good the general standard of the women is. So, but yeah, I'm not going to pressure myself. I'm not Ronnie
yes,
O'Sullivan. I'm not
no,
Rhiannon
no,
Evans.
no,
But yeah, I'm just going to enjoy it. And whatever happens, I've loved this process over the last few months of playing
yeah,
more often, going into the club. I think a big thing for me was walking into the club one night on my own and
yeah,
joining my local club. I was always scared. I don't know why, but I was always scared to walk in as probably the only woman who plays, and I'm always the only woman who's in there, so nothing's changed there.
Yeah.
But I'm more comfortable now, and yeah, I just love playing Scott. So hopefully a good weekend ahead.
Wow. If you're playing any if you're playing as good as your analysis, you would have won 7 world titles by now. So let's
Well,
there's always hope, shall we say?
there is always hope, and if you don't have a dream, you can't have a dream come true, as Del Boy once said. So,
Indeed.
on that note, we'll say goodbye, and I will be. I will let you all know how it all goes next time.
Indeed, we'll take back after the World Open, I would think, Kelly.
Yeah,
But
unless I go mad and win this tournament, and then I feel like I've got to tell the world about it.
yeah, but we'll let you know near the time. But we think it'll probably be after the World Open. But so we
I
hope you
think
enjoy.
so.
We hope you enjoyed the Welsh and enjoy the action from you, Shan. So bye for now,
Yeah.
everyone.
Goodbye.